Are you so blind that you cannot see? Nelson Mandela.
Thank you. Enrique?
Hey, hi everyone.
Yes.
Well, first, I agree with Shabaka's words. We need to tell that history we have not been taught. Our history in America should not start with the separation of Columbus. For example, I like to read They Came Before Columbus, because we had to teach to our children the real history about Africa. We cannot continue teaching. How do I say this in English? The legacy of the Europeans. So, being black in Colombia. Colombia is home to the second largest black population in Latin America, but Afro-Colombians remain largely invisible in media, politics, and other positions of power. In our country, just in 1993, Afro-Colombian, the term of Afro-Colombia was introduced into the census, and in that time, the government said that we was the 1.5% of the population. But 2 years ago, the last census, black community represent 10% of Colombian population, but we are sure that we are much more than that 10%. We have a lot of problems in our country. The media have been in charge of publicizing the misery of the territories where the people of Afro-descendant communities are mostly settled, where the tradition have not yet left and modernity has not just arrived, where socio-economic indicators corroborate that social inequalities have increased and become more chronic and notorious day by day. The state abandon implies that the cultural expression of black community are applauded, rewarded with name, just with name, considered cultural heritage, but only to skills and make invisible the realities of our territories. We have our own case of George Floyd. In Colombia, the police in a small town called Boatemaa beat to death a 24 years old man, Anderson Arboleda, and the reason was that he had been suspected of breaking the department strict quarantine curfew because of COVID. And just 6 days later, in the United States, the case of Chauvin killed George Floyd was world news, and everybody and the rest of the world turned their attention to Black Lives Matter. In Colombia, it didn't happen. What's the difference? In Colombia has not been justice for the murder of a young black kid, and this is not new. This is not something new. This is recurrently in our country. It's not recognized that the foundation of the Colombian nation we know today derived from a system of slavery, and this doesn't allow us to recognize that in 169 years the condition of these human beings that are descendants of those that were enslaved have not changed so much. While Colombia's history of slavery and development of race is distinct from that one of the United States, Colombia's own history of racism can be seen in police brutality every day. Anderson Arboleda and George Floyd leave the message that racism kills, and it kills in different ways. The fact, for example, that black men in Colombia, in territories like Buenaventura, like Chocó, like Quito, like Cartagena, have the lowest life expectancy in the nation. Tell us something. Colombia in 1990, when 190 in the year 1990 was declared an official pluriethnic country, but it is not treated that way. The multiculturalists recognized in the 91 Constitution celebrate diversity, but it has not managed to reverse racial inequality. Actually, we are fighting with the pandemic of COVID, and it is not considered that in our country the most critical and the private regions to face the COVID are the Pacific and the Caribbean, but with a notable Afro-descendant presence. They share all problems such as the lack of quality health service, water and basic sanitation, connectivity, unemployment, institutional weakness. Here, as in the United States, these conditions are colored. Unfortunately, then it turned to the frustration that we had to say once again, we had to be the last, we had to be the impoverished, the victims, and that the suffering of certain group versus other, that no matter to anyone in the instance of the decision of power. So, in this country, many communities are also put on their knees to suffocate them. Colombia have a difference between, there are differences between Colombia and the United States with black communities. For example, self-recognition. In Colombia, the lighter the skin, the less black the person is considered, and society perceives it, granting or denying it dignity and respect. In the USA, a person, no matter how clear their skin is, if they have a minimum of muster with black communities, recognize themselves and society recognize them as a black people. For example, Stephen Curry or Barack Obama are men with lighter skin than many so-called Colombian whites, and they are recognized as African American. It's important to say this because in our country, people used to say that Afro-Americans are more determined than Afro-Colombians. Maybe it can be true. The thing is that the racism in the USA was legal, and straightforward, while in Colombia, the racism has been sneaky, creeping, and hypocritical. Finally, uh, one of the biggest message of the Mandela's legacy is that we have to be anti-racist. And being anti-racist is an action that involves studying, getting involved, and working, and not just saying obvious things like that there is only one race, which is the human race. Here we are talking about racism as a system of exclusion that has purposely limited the advantage and life of certain groups of the population. A single example, most of the recently assassinated social leaders in my country are from ethnic groups like Black communities, and we only represent between 10% and 50% of the population. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that submission.
Once again, I'm sorry for my English.
No, we were able to understand. We understood, we followed along, and we understood the problems of being lighter and darker in Colombia. And we hope for a time where, like a young speaker said, that men will be judged, you know, like a young speaker echoing the words of Martin Luther King, that people will be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. At this point, we have another speaker who is a very light-skinned. I'm going to come to her to say a few words on how she feels she could contribute to this process of fighting against racial inequality. And a lot of us have friends who are of different races, who are white. And our friends can help us in this struggle by educating the people around them, educating people in their community, standing with us, supporting us in whatever projects we are putting out there to help, you know, educate people on how they can help us fight racial injustice and racial disparities. So when we see them working like that or trying to reach out, we should also embrace and help, because in this fight, it's not black or white, it's not you on that side, or it's not us against them, it is us together as humans in the human race fighting for justice, because without justice, there can never be peace. Okay, so I'm going to have Kambon respond to Enrique. Kambon, can you respond to Enrique? And then I will call on Camille to talk about the situation in Brazil, okay, and how she has been helping us fight these racial injustices, okay? All right. After that, then I'll talk to the two Olivers in the house, the Olivier from Burundi and the Oliver from Kenya, okay? So Kambon, please respond to Enrique's submission, and then I'll come to Camille. Kambon? Hello, Kambon?
Mute. Yes, hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, well, I have been to. I spent a lot of time in Central and South America, and so I was very touched by what my brother Enrique Hurtado had to share. I know the challenges he faces so well. And the way that the white supremacy has organized those societies to rob, you know, African people of their sense of identity, and in that way to remove them from the struggle that they need to be engaged in to free the entire community. So that for me was very, very touching. I want to thank my brother Enrique so much for bringing that Latin American perspective to the table. I want us to think, though, about that question of the words Black and African. Those two things sometimes cause a lot of confusion for us. And we have to be very clear about blackness as a kind of political definition in relation to whiteness, the opposite of whiteness, a relation to power, and Africanness as something different. It has something to do with our culture, our heritage, our humanity, our worldview that transcends our blackness. So I am both black in my country, although I've been to places where I do experience a certain amount of, because of my status or my education or my wealth, I do experience a certain amount of whiteness in certain spaces, but I am African. You know, whatever the politics are, and what we want to do as African people is to abolish blackness and whiteness, because we don't want to have first class and second class citizens anywhere in the world. And I think when we think about people like Nelson Mandela, like Martin Luther King, who said injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, we really want to abolish second class citizenship in the world. And so in a sense, we embrace our blackness to abolish our blackness so we could live as one humanity with our Africanness. I don't know if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Very well said. Very well said. Thank you so very much. Okay, so I'm going to call Camille. Camille, please make a submission on your efforts, you know, towards supporting this fight against racial injustice and racial inequality. You gave us a brief touch on that before this program, and it was very interesting to listen to what you and your friends have done. Please go ahead. The floor is all yours right now.
Okay, thank you. I have seen in some studies around here that many people have one of the biggest struggles about white people understanding the social politics directed to Afro-descendants and Black people in general is about understanding why they should pay for some kind of historical debt that they don't understand where this debt comes from. And I could see, and I have tried this with some people with the small time I could have, and trying to explain where did this debt came from, and see if they could change their minds a little bit, understanding why should we have politics directed to Afro-descendants. And we have, what I did was explaining Brazil in general. Brazil was one, I think it was the highest, it had the highest amount of slaves in all times. Since comparing to Egypt, Rome, and all those things, Brazil had the highest number of slaves and worked with slavery in its basis. So all our basis was built, and you know, everything we have here was built entirely by slavery labor. And so all our structure and everything we have becoming since then, good or bad or middle, it has been, all we have came from this force. And nowadays I could see some expositions of some people telling we can't find exactly who were the slaves and who was the aristocrats that earned money from its forces. So once being Black at some times was the scarlet leather to be a slave, now we try to compensate all of this struggle, trying to make being Black a good thing. Here it's mostly in public, you know, and public universities that there are some quotes for Black people, and also in tender processes to work in public service that we have exams and these things, and there are quotes for Black people to special codes for Black people to enter, and people have a big problem with this. Many people says it's an issue because it enforces prejudice, and it makes, because Black people shouldn't have anything different. If we want to make everything, if we want to make the country, if we want to bring equality. And they don't understand when I say, if we can't find exactly who were the ones who had money with this force, and who were the ones who had to work and was slavery and wasn't paid for work, I have used an example, like you have a amount of land, and then you get someone to build your house, to build a house and some plantation, some, to put some plants there, things that will give you money. In Brazil, we have diamonds, and we have sugar and all the things. If you have someone to build you a house or a plant or anything, and then your amount of land turned into something that will give you money, that will give you a structure, that will give you more than you had in the beginning, and then you just don't pay this person. You say, okay, go away now, thank you. They don't even say thank you, but okay, go away. And then I have a structure I didn't have before, and I didn't pay for this work. So once we can find the ones who worked, we can identify exactly the sons and everyone that came from that ones that worked. Here, the Black population ask for public politics. They say, we don't want money from government, we don't want the money from the aristocrats, but we want public politics to make things be a little better for us now, because here we also have the struggles that I believe the whole world does. And now during the pandemics, the Instagram and Facebook and social network is highly increasing, and people are giving more attention. So there are some pages that brings more than of these infos for many things that are naturalized in the society, but that enforces racism. And I could say in the other earlier when we were talking, that for us it's a little difficult to talk about here, because when you are a feminist, only women, people in Brazil are building this prejudice that only women can talk about feminism, only Afro descendants can talk about racism, and it wouldn't be our place of speech. So here it's something I'm careful when talking about, because I want to support, I want to study, but we have, in Brazil, I am considered white, but I have, in the United States, people already doesn't think I'm that's whiter. They say I'm mixed, but here I say, even if I have Black family, I have Blacks, even slaves in the family, but I don't feel the struggles of being Black in my society. So I don't say, oh, I'm Black, I suffer as long as you, because I know there are some struggles I just don't feel on my skin. So when we are trying to talk, we have to have a lot of, we have to be careful, because it's something we are learning. I believe these discussions are beginning now among young people, and there are many different sides. People say, oh, the white ones are important because you have, once you have privileges, you have to be there and fight for us because they will listen. Here famous sentences that white people listen to white people. So you have, if a white person tries to understand and to help, and they tell other people what's happening, the other ones will be more open to hear. I think it's really sad, but once it's a fact, maybe we have to take part and try to do something. And there are also the thing of space of speech. So they say, oh, if you don't suffer, you don't have to steal a place that a black person could be talking. But once we, as a society that's looking for equality, I believe we should be everyone talking about it and trying to avoid it. So when talking about this historical debate, I could say, when trying to explain it in a more didactics, I think so. Okay, I could see some people could understand a little better why we have public politics, because we can identify one person or other person. So we have to look for a group that is, I say a group because we have the Indians and we have also women, and in this case with our Afro descendants, we have to look for that group and identify which struggles they are facing now, but also which struggles they have faced before. And if once being black was what would be turn someone eligible for being a slave, now it should be something that would turn someone eligible to have at least equality, because here we still have many struggles with education. Most of the poor population is black, it's a fact. And then people say, oh, but meritocracy should the merits uh, should be the main justification for us to have to be in the university, to be in a public university, or to be in a public career. But when we don't have the same opportunity since the beginning, we can't have the merit in the end. So, and many people are there, they do an amazing work. So it's a way, it's not the perfect one, because I still believe in Brazil the basis of education, of public education, there is where most of the poor population are going to is very weak, really, really weak. So I believe it should be the focus, and it's not being, there is a kind of the politics are in the in the highest part, in the highest education to universities, but it's not, people just close their eyes to public education and to basic education. And the only way I believe we would really turn society in an equal, we could bring equality in education and access to jobs and careers would be investing in since the first part. And here it doesn't happen, but I believe we can part by part, little by little, convince people to understand what the struggle is. That's what we are trying to do, and help them help the world and our country to have a more equality, acceptance, and try to solve at least a little our struggles. That's it. You're muted, Regina. You're muted.
Thank you. Thank you so very much for that submission. That was brilliant. And I hope that we all, like I requested earlier, will also encourage our friends from other cultures and other races to help them understand what a struggle is and support them in their efforts to educate their own circles about what our struggle, what our struggles are as Black people and as African Americans and as Africans and Black people the world over. And Mr. Kambon, I understand your advice on how we should use the term to be politically correct, and I hope that you can explain that again, because it's very important that we understand that. I will come back to you, Mr. Shabaka, in a little bit. I have 28 people in the house. If you want to say something, if you want to make a comment, please send me a direct message and I will give you an opportunity to speak to us. I will be coming to Oliver from Kenya and Olivier from Burundi, but I would like to call John Dixon at this point to talk to us a little bit about white supremacy and how we should organize ourselves to recognize and put ourselves in a position to handle that properly in our communities and wherever we find our circles of influence to be. Mr. John Dixon, please come speak with us on white supremacy. Thank you very much, Camille, for that submission. I see the struggle with the language, but you did very well, and we were able to understand you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. John Dixon, the floor is yours for right now. Please come on and speak with us a little bit about that before we get to the Oliviers or Olivers. Mr. John Dixon? All right, I don't think we have Mr. John Dixon. In that case, I would like to go to the first Olivier Nkengurutse from Burundi and Rwanda. I have to say that Burundi and Rwanda, especially with the history we have heard of Rwanda, how they were able to bounce back from such a sad war situation in their country, how they were able to become in a few short years a beacon of hope in Africa. I always marvel at their progress and how they were able to make it work. And I hope that the rest of Africa will look at their formula and borrow a leaf from that. Is Olivier Nkengurutse with us? Olivier?
Yes,
Olivier,
hello.
come up and speak to us a little bit on this day of honoring Nelson Mandela. And if we don't have...
Hello, can you hear me?
Olivier?
Yes, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear. Yes. Which Olivier is this? Which one is this? Because we have two of you in the house. We have Olivier Nkengurutse from Burundi and Rwanda, and we have Oliver Mashaka from Kenya.
This is Olivier from Burundi and Rwanda.
Okay, go ahead, please, and speak with us. And I see that we have Joey, Mr. Joey. I'll be with you shortly, Mr. Joey. Let us listen to Olivier speak. Go ahead, Olivier.
Thank you, and hello to everyone. As you mentioned, Rwanda is one of the good examples, I could say, on African context, and regarding the honoring the legacy of Nelson Mandela. And Rwanda and Burundi, they share the same history, the same background, because a little bit before, they used to be one kingdom, Rwanda, Burundi, and during the colonization, and after independence, they became two neighboring countries, but they do have the same background with the same ethnic groups, the Hutus, the Tutsis, and the Hutus and the Twas. But we did have like two main ethnic group, which is Hutu and the Tutsi, and they've been like struggling to find a cohabitation since a while, since the independence. But we have like the genocide against the Tutsis in Rwanda in 1994. That I think many of us here they know about this part of Rwandan history. But at the same time, in 1993 in Burundi, the same thing almost happened. But we did have in Burundi another regime, which is like ethnically was different to the regime that was running Rwanda. So it's been really chaotic, like for this ethnic conflict in both countries. But I will talk more about the legacy of Nelson Mandela in Burundi, because this is the country President Mandela has to intervene to try and help the country to find a stability and to put an end to the civil war that lasted more than 12 years until 2000, after the Accord of Arusha. So this is when I'm thinking about the efforts of President Mandela, his legacy on cohabitation and solutions to all these conflicts. I think President Mandela has set the example to Africans, but it's obvious that Africans we haven't struggled to follow the example, and this myself as a human rights activist and advocate for peace and human rights, it's something that we do encounter everyday fight, I could say. It's unfortunate we should not really call it a fight for human rights, because human rights should be everybody should access to this, and every life should be treated in dignity, and they have the right to life. But unfortunately, it's not. But from these two countries of background, we have seen, like on the other side of Rwanda, like the efforts of the spirit of the legacy of Nelson Mandela and the living together. They have come out of the chaos of 1994, and today we can testify that within the Rwandan society they have come to live together, and this has been like the process for the last more than 25 years now, and it became to be like from this political will, the guidance of the leadership, that I congratulate the
Yes.
president, the Rwandan leadership. And now from this year, last May, in Burundi, there has been this election after the 5 years of turmoil, and I hope now that the new leadership is going to be willing to restore the country and to set a new like to restart, because it's possible. I really hope. But when I look at the legacy of Nelson Mandela and all this going on all around Africa and in the United States, or even in the world, about racism and all these like discriminations and against the black people, it's very unfortunate, because for me, I believe it's the life is all we have, and it's something really priceless, and together we can do more things, but we just messing out. We're just messing up, and try to focus on things, even the time to fight for human rights, for freedoms. This should not be the fight. We should not really be fighting for this, because it had not to be what I think. But unfortunately, this is the world it is. And when I'm trying to reflect on the actions, and thankfully we have so many actors around the world trying to move things forward. But I think there is still things that we're lacking. When I compare our fight today with the fight of our fathers, of the fight of President Mandela, or we do look at the fight of Congressman Lewis or Martin Luther King, all of these great people that we had in our humanity that helped to shape the world that we are living in today, related to human rights and the freedoms and the peace. I think they had more to lose. This is my reflection. I think they had more to lose back then in that time than what we have today. But please don't get me wrong on that. I think we have more to lose today, but we even don't realize we have. So this is why even the time we are trying to shape the world that we want. I'm still in my 30s, and I believe we are so many young generation, young people, young change makers around the world. But the fight we are fighting today, we are not that focused that were our grandfathers, our fathers, or our examples. So today, that's why we do things. We move forward today, to tomorrow. Today, things are happening. It's crazy. We go in energetic, and we're trying to do something about it.
Yes.
And the day after, we go in, we're passing on to another thing. It's the kind of news coming out on TV, and we lose focus on that. And at a given time, it's just normal. It becomes normal, or it becomes the same fight all over the years, all over the decades, which is very unfortunate, because I do believe people, the young people, they can do things. Really, they can change things if they were really focused on that. So.
Thank you so very much for your submission. Thank you. All right. And we'll definitely take your points into consideration and teach it to our communities and those around us. And like I said, there's many, like 27 people in the house. Please, if you have a comment, reach out to me privately, and I will give you a chance to say something. Before I go to Oliver Mashaka from Kenya, I would like to give Mr. Teddy Lartey. Teddy Lartey, please, you have 1 minute to make your comment before I move to Oliver Mashaka from Kenya. Please go ahead, Mr. Earl. Mr. Earl, the floor is yours. Unmute your mic and say something to us.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you very much for the privilege. I'd like to say hi to Dr. Wallace Ajibade, and then Nano Tulate, and of course Jessica, and then you, Regina, as well. I'm enjoying the program. It's quite enlightening. And I like to say that it's good to know what is happening in other parts of the world. Some of us, when we travel to other parts of the world, we don't stay there that long. So we are unable to ascertain this kind of racism issues that is being raised here. I believe that as African views, we need to continue with the work, and first of all, and reach out to our African leadership. Because like the earlier comment that was made, Mandela is a man who was not compromised. Today, our leaders in Africa have been compromised. So sometimes as young people, we don't see where the future is going. But since Dr. Wale and his team came to Ghana, we had hope that it's going to be all right if we persist in African views to reach, as we say in English, the sky is the limit. So I would like to congratulate the organizers of the program and say that we are going to support you, and anytime we'll be there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming on the program today and for making your comments to us. Thank you for your encouragement and support. Olivier Mashaka from Kenya, can you say a few words? Olivier Mashaka from Kenya, say a few words before we go to our next speaker. All right, go ahead, please, Olivier Mashaka.
Thank you, Regina, ASKIA Williams. It's good to see you. again after a long time. You look as beautiful as ever.
Thank
I have
you.
to admit. Yes, thank you, Wale, and the African Views family for giving me this opportunity, for organizing this very worthy conference at a time when it is very much needed. My condolences go to the family, the bereaved family of the congressman who passed away. I have been privileged to listen to some of his speeches, and his face. I mean, even now, when I see him in my mind, he epitomizes one of the very strong and powerful leaders who've advocated for the rights and the plight of minorities, not just African Americans, but Africans and people of color in this country and the world. Nelson Mandela, as a young man growing up in Kenya, the fight for apartheid, the fight for the release of Nelson Mandela was something that became a part of Africa and Africans. My identity growing up was formed by the struggle in South Africa. I'd like to quote a speech, a short segment of Nelson Mandela's inaugural speech, where he said, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be?" he said. "You're a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone, it's in all of us. And as we let our own light shine, we consciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others."
Yes.
And Nelson Mandela's presence liberated not just Africans, as we very well know. He transcended cultures. Wherever Nelson Mandela went, be it in Europe, be it in South America, be it in everywhere, even in the United States, people saw in him a light that shone brighter than most, and he brought the best out of all of us. And I remember also him saying, he was asked after being in prison for 27 years, what was the most important lessons that he had learned, and he said that once a man climbs a mountain and conquers one mountain, what he finds up there are other mountains that he is challenged to climb again. And this is true, as Ambassador Isaiah Chabala also spoke. Ambassador, I think meeting you and having conversations with you, it has, I always feel like I'm talking to the likes of Nelson Mandela, because you've been also in the forefront of making our continent, shine brighter. I mean, we've had so many challenges in Africa. The gentleman from Burundi and Rwanda will attest to the fact that it's, Africa, our leaders sometimes have let us down, right? Mm-hmm. Our own leaders sometimes have been catalysts to the plight that we know, the challenges that we face in Africa. But leaders like Nelson Mandela and Ambassador Chabala, you bring the best out. You show that Africa also has people who are worthy of emulating and celebrating. So I thank you so much for the work that you do. Wale, when I came to the United States, I've lived in the United States for a few years now, and I had no idea that I would come across an organization which would be such as African views, which builds bridges, not just amongst Africans, but amongst Africans and other communities. And now we're talking to people from Brazil in this forum. We're talking to people from Asia in this forum.
Yes.
And so thank you so much for the work that Wale you do. Wale, I think I keep telling you this, you've opened up doors for me that I never imagined possible. Thank you so much. Thank you for the sacrifices that you make, and you do make a lot of sacrifices, I know, so much. Thank you for being an elder brother and a light also for us African youth. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your submission. We all feel that way. We all feel very honored to be part of this organization that is giving so much of itself to the betterment of humanity, all right? And to see people from all over the world, that Dr. Ajibade has been able to reach out to people from all over the world to come together and put their hands together, put their brains together and work out solutions that will further peace in our communities, right? I am so honored, just like you feel. I'm so honored to be part of this organization. I'm going to give Ms. Terry Ince, thank you so much, from Kenya. I'm going to give Ms. Terry Ince a few minutes, maybe 2 minutes to say something, make a few comments on this august occasion. And after she does that, I have on the timeline, Mr. John Dixon. I hope he'll be able to come on this time, because last I called him, he was not able to speak. I'll call John Dixon, I'll call Guru, because we want to talk about the relationship between Africans in the diaspora and the Black communities. We want to talk about the relationship between them and Asia, socially, economically, and what have you. We'd like to explore how the life of Nelson Mandela has influenced our relationship with our brothers and sisters from Asia and India and that side of the world. We would also listen to Pradeep Sapkota. Pradeep has been waiting a long time to speak with us. He, last time I met him, he offered this group therapy through music and through yoga, and it was very uplifting. It was a very uplifting meeting with Mr. Pradeep Sapkota, and I hope that he has something like that for us today. It was a lot of drumming and dancing and breathing techniques. That was very good. And then we have Joey from the International Youth Fellowship. He'll be showing us like a video and also making a presentation, a music presentation in honor of Nelson Mandela Day. There was somebody from Nigeria, Aminu Danladi. I don't know if we still have Aminu Danladi in the house, but if we do, we would like to hear a few words from him. If we don't, we look forward to speaking with him another day. Can I have Ms. Terry Ince on the spotlight right now to say a few words in honor of our exercise on Nelson Mandela Day? Ms. Terry Ince.
Yes, hello.
Okay, yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Great. Thank you, Regina.
You should start your video so we can see you, if you don't mind.
Okay, sure.
There you go. Good to see you.
Okay, it's good to see you as well. And hello again to my African Views family in New York and wherever else you are around the world. It is a real pleasure, and I really appreciate the opportunity to share a few words with you all today. Thank you, Regina and Dr. Wale, my brother. I'm very happy to see my brother on, Shabaka, but also from Trinidad and Tobago, and my mentee, Camille. She did a great job from Brazil. Just wanted to say that, you know, as we're celebrating Nelson Mandela's birthday today, and we are saying goodbye to another pillar in the African-American community, Representative Lewis, I feel like we are the children of those people. We are walking in their footsteps, and it's encouraging for me to see and hear the other generation coming in and doing the very same thing and engaging in the conversation, so that we will continue to teach each other how to be a community in the diaspora. We're all Africans, regardless of where we were actually birthed on the planet. Our mother is Africa. And I like to feel that we all need to be celebrating that. Shabaka said something that was very true. He said in some parts there's a difference between Black and African. There's some parts of the world, depending on less on your color, but more on his skin tone or his funding, he experienced whiteness, and I equate that with privilege is what he was referring to. And we all can experience that. Personally, I go to Brazil a lot, and I relate very closely with what Camille was saying, because I see the disparity in Brazil, where she made the point that, you know, everyone is saying, well, you know, all you need to do is go to the university and everybody will be fine. But if you're not starting from the same place, even if you do get to the university, but you have no shoes to go there, or you don't have electricity because you live in the Amazon, it really, it's not equal. So we have to work, all of us, toward that place of equality. And I think that's what we're starting to do as we have these conversations to better understand each other. I'm working with another mentee in South Sudan, and it's heartbreaking what I'm having to deal with them there. But the point is that I am so encouraged by seeing the young people in South Sudan stand up for their rights, for their equality, to have a voice, to be listened to be heard, and to sit at the table and to work toward peace for everybody. So I'm encouraged today. I hope you are as well. And I thank you for this opportunity to share. And enjoy the rest of the session. It's been great so far, and I'm looking forward to not only today, but the other days as well. Thank you. Thank you
so much. Thank you for your words of encouragement, and thank you for the work you're doing. Okay, across Africa, reaching out across continents, you know, mentoring young people, socializing them and getting them to, you know, conscientizing them, opening their eyes to the political issues, to the social issues, to the injustice we have to fight together. Thank you very much, Ms. Terry Innes. Okay, so I'd like to give Mr. Adelaja a few minutes to speak. Then I will ask Mr. Danladi to speak. Correct me if you're not Alaji, please. Mr. Adelaja, can we go to Mr. Adelaja to say a few words, and then we will ask Alaji Danladi from Nigeria to speak, and then we will concentrate full blast on our Asian brothers and sisters from the other side of the world, okay? All right, Mr. Adelaja, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, REGINA and Wale Ajibade and REMI ALAPO. It's a privilege and honor to be on this platform, talk to you, and be particular of this great event of this Nelson Mandela and Martin Luther King, and also my hero who just passed, Congressman Lewis. I am very overwhelmed. I'm very saddened about this. Because I was growing up in Nigeria, I have only 4 whom I pick as my hero that I always look up to and say, one day, if I happen to be anywhere in the world, I would like to be like them and contribute as they do. And that is the first one was late Chief Obafemi Awolowo, our leader, the Yoruba leader in Nigeria, the Western, at that time, Western region.
Okay. We are having
I will not have came today. We not have of any.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, in bits and in snatches, you know. Make your comment as quickly as you can so that we can hear what you have to say before the internet starts acting up. I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
Okay. You can hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I'm saying that I have 4 heroes in my lifetime.
Yes.
Like the first one is Chief Obafemi Awolowo.
Yes.
The second one was Nelson Mandela.
Yes.
And the third one was Martin Luther King. And the last but not the least was the great man who just passed, Congressman Lewis.
Yes.
He has really fought for, I had the opportunity to meet with him when we are fighting for independence, the announcement of June 12 election. I was here, of personal secretary of the United States Secretary General, Mr. Boutros-Ghali, and Cardinal Rice. We were able to do. So I really enjoy this program, human rights, and what Nelson Mandela has done. Nelson Mandela 20 years in prison. When he came to New York, I have opportunity to meet with him, and I was at the Yankee Stadium when he came, and when Mayor Dinkin was around, I was there, and with Charlie Rango and Reverend Jackson and Shafton, all of them. So it's an honor to meet all these good people and to contribute to history to this program today. I'm very happy that you gave me the platform to express my condolences to all these great heroes who has passed, and I look forward to work and encourage our youth. The last one of the lady from Ghana, the young lady who spoke, she spoke eloquently. I am happy to see all the youth nowadays demonstrating for Black Lives Matters, both black and white and red and yellow, and everybody now. It's not only Black life alone, but all life is matters. So I thank you very much for giving me opportunity to express this forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so very much for joining us. And I want to thank you for being part of the struggle also, meeting all those people, learning from them, and sharing what you were able to learn. Thank you very much. Can we have Alhaji Danladi say something? Can we have Alhaji Danladi say something briefly? Danladi from Nigeria, can we have him say something briefly? Do we still have him with us? All right, in the absence of Alhaji Danladi, I would like to go over to Mr. Pradeep. Mr. Pradeep has been waiting patiently. Let us listen to him talk about our relationship with Asia, our relationship with, you know, our brothers and sisters in the Asian continent. Remember, we are all working together in a common brotherhood for the advancement of humanity. After listening to Mr. Pradeep, we will listen to Guru DILEEPKUMAR, and then I will give a few moments to Ewu Rafua Ampabeng to speak. Okay, please let me have Mr. Pradeep. Mr. Pradeep, please go ahead. Mr. Pradeep? Can I have Mr. Pradeep, please? I see Mr. Pradeep is with us. Go ahead, sir. Hello? Okay, if we don't have Mr. Pradeep, can I have Guru DILEEPKUMAR? All right, there you are. Okay, so I apologize for that mix-up because it is you I met with the drumming and the dancing and the yoga. It was you. Okay, right. Please go ahead and speak with us about our relationship with the Asian continent as regards how Nelson Mandela has been able to influence our choices in that regard. Go ahead, please.
Namaste, everyone. It is my great pleasure and honor to be part of this Nelson Mandela Day. Happy Nelson Mandela Day. From Africa, I had few favorite people. One is Nelson Mandela. One is Kofi Annan, Martin Luther King, and Barack Obama. These four people always attracted me in different ways. And I look at Nelson Mandela, he's a champion for human rights. He lived from 1918 to 2013, even though he was a follower of Gandhi's teaching. He always admired Gandhi, That's the part I love about him. He never pointed out to Gandhi he made a mistake. Somebody was making a comment on my Facebook last month, and I put a picture with the Gandhi statue from New York. They said, why you are putting a picture with a racist? So I told the person, he was not a racist. He took little time to understand about the life. When he moved to South Africa, he was only 27 years old. He's not that matured leader. After he's going through the process in Africa, he became a mature leader. And you see the similarity between Mandela and Gandhi. They both born in their politically influenced families, both studied law, and they both know how to handle the situation in their countries. And they have some differences. Gandhi supported racial segregation, which brought him to the plight of his national and himself in Indian issues. Mandela is more with the African communities issues. But both come to the human rights. Now we have the movement, Black Lives Matter. I say brown life matter. And some people say white life matter. Basically, human life matter. When you go a little deeper, earth life matter. That's the situation now. We don't have time to lose to talk about the politics and the cultural differences. We have to come together to mobilize the humanity. That is the important thing. That's why I work with the different communities. You see, always I'm with the people. And when you look at Mandela, he went to India so many times. In 1990, when he released from jail, India gave him the highest civilian award. That's Bharat Ratna to Mandela. Only 3 people got. The first one is Mother Teresa. I always love her. I spend time with her. And another person from Pakistan. And third person is Nelson Mandela. After that, we never give it to anybody. You know, and Gandhi's teaching, I always think about my life is my message. I always implement in my life, even when I speak. I never learn something from the book and preach. I just take things from my own life. Same thing, I look at Mandela, how he spent his time in jail, how much tolerance he had. He never had a physical fight with anybody in the jail. He tolerated the situation. He focused himself. He brought entire energy, what he earned from that life, and brought the change in the world through only 5 years he was the president. Within that 5 years, he totally changed the world. That is a very remarkable point I had to mention about Mandela. And when I want to mention few things he talked about Gandhi, that we cannot neglect those things. 1 minute. Just taking the point. I just wrote it here. Okay. Nelson Mandela had said in February 2007, in the world driven by violence and strife, Gandhi's message of peace and non-violence hold the key to human survival in the 21st century. He rightly believed in the efficacy of pitting the soul force of the satyagraha against the brute force of the oppressor, and in effect, converting the oppressor to the right and moral point. Gandhi used the word kafir. Usually Muslims call Hindus kafir. But those days, using the word was not that much sin. They were not that mature to understand how it will affect somebody. One day I asked my mother, Mom, are you from Africa? So Mom asked, why did you ask that? No, you are so black. Yes, my mom was very dark. My dad was very light. I became a brown. So she asked me, why did you ask that question? So I said, I learned something about Abraham Lincoln in my class, and he abolished the slavery in America. So I was reading all the things. I thought all the black people are from Africa. Then she started explaining how dark people in southern part of India, they are originally from Africa. So she said, most probably we all are Africans. This has brought me in a wider perception to understand about the human life. When you look at the map, the African and the India just combined together. The southern tip of India is Kerala, my state. It will join with Africa easily. It was a one land in the beginning. So much to learn about this one. So we cannot blame Gandhi when he was an ignorant student or a worker as a teenager. But in the end part of his life, he traveled to my state. 5 times he came, and those days, those who are deprived or those who are in the lower class, that's the word they use, they cannot enter in the temple. They won't allow to enter in the temple. And even Gandhi is from upper class family. They didn't allow him to go to the temple because he visited abroad. He went to the Pope, he went to England. So they are saying he's not supposed to go to the temple because he visited other countries. That's the way they treated him. And it took over 80 years to open that temple for him. And the king of that area invited him as a guest, special guest, and changed the atmosphere. And that's a moment happened all over the state. They opened the temple for all the class people. We used to have 4 classes, upper class like to lower class, 4 classes. And lower class people cannot go to the temple. Then India started moving like a freedom movement. You know, India became a socialist country, secular country, and they opened very well. That experience Gandhi got because he lived in Africa. Otherwise, he won't get it. So even I feel when I came to America, I never used to speak English. Even I had a hard time with white people, black people, whatever it is. But I never take it as a negative. I take it as a positive. I think whatever I face in my life, take it as a lesson. I expand myself, then I embrace them. That's why we all are here today, because we all have a behavior to embrace others. So in the future, we all should teach the younger generation we are divine, universal being, to help each other as a father, as a brother and a sister. We are from the one family. This is my message. I apologize if Gandhi made any comments in his early teenager time. We had to forgive him, even though we don't have to forget, because we learned something from that. But we had to forgive all of the mistakes, especially when they changed their mind to the positivity. So Gandhi is not supposed to be blamed. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for that. You know, you talked about keeping an open mind, being forgiving. And indeed, one of India's greatest people said, you cannot move forward when you refuse to accept a handshake. You cannot accept a handshake when your fist is closed. So we have to keep an open mind. We have to be forgiving and embrace each other. As we go on, I want to say that I want to once again thank everybody for joining us today. And I want to personally acknowledge all of you for your presence. Peace lights, there's beautiful lights dancing around here. There's peace lights. I want to thank you for being a part of this meeting in honor of Nelson Mandela Day. Peace lights, if you want to say a few things, please indicate and I'll bring you on. Thank you, Mr. Solomon, for your contribution. Ms. Terry Inns, I thank you. Dr. Wale Ajibade, thank you for together. Darling Upeme Akpan, Thank you. El Teddy Narty, Isaiah Shabala, Ambassador Isaiah Shabala, Samuel Otu Lartey, Rabel Asante, Dr. Remi Alapo, Isaac Como, Techno Common, Oliva NYITHAMBE from Kenya, Jessica Lartey, Chumani, Camille, Enrique Hurtado, John Dixon, Joey Ham. Joey, we're coming to you shortly after we speak with one or two people. Oliver, Shabaka. Shabaka, I want you to make a comment to clarify the comment you made on being politically correct in referring to African people and Black people. We'll come back to that. Emily Lartey, Okweme Okon, Ebu Rafwa, I'm coming to you also. Philly Jamba. I wanted to mention everybody's name so that you understand that we appreciate your presence and we are listening to you. If you want to say anything, please let us know. We are listening to you. We are learning from each other. We're sharing knowledge, and I need to encourage all of you in the spirit of Ubuntu, that is caring to be your brother's keeper, caring for the well-being of your fellow human being. Please flower where you are planted. Take our ideas, take our process, our conversation, take it to your immediate communities, share it with them, okay, and help contribute your quota in uplifting the human race, okay? So somebody asked that he wanted to make a comment. Ewura Fwa Ampabeng, Ewura Fwa Ampabeng. Can we have Ewura Fwa make his comment, please? Ewura Fwa, unmute yourself and make your comments. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Good evening from Ghana. I am Gabriela Irifwa Ampabeng.
Okay.
So I'm a master's student in International Affairs and Diplomacy in University of Ghana in Legon, in Ghana. And I have an interest in African and diasporan affairs. So I have found this conference really insightful and inspiring. I just have a few things that I want to say. So Nelson Mandela has had a substantial impact on Africa as a whole. His struggles with racism and his peaceful manner, everything that he went through for apartheid to be resolved in South Africa has been very significant to Africa as a whole. And during that time, Africa stood in solidarity with Nelson Mandela and South Africa as a whole. And I believe his legacy is something that we can weigh in on for Black Lives Matter. And as a youth myself, I'd like to say to all the youths that we are really privileged to have many exemplary role models that have laid the foundation for us to make the task a little more easier to fulfill. So it's really my hope that we're able to see guidance and direction from them so that we can make this paradigm shift that we're trying to make, that we want to create. We can do that very well and make them all proud, and all of us will feel proud.
Yes.
And Mandela once said that playing small does not serve the world. Who are you not to be great? So it means that we can all do something. There's something that we can all do. We can all contribute to make this whole. We can all be part of this collective body to achieve this collective goal for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
So I really hope that we can make Mandela proud, and I pray that due justice is served all those that have suffered racism or any form of injustice.
Yes.
So I just want to conclude that all lives do not matter until Black lives matter.
Uh-huh.
So,
yes. Thank you so much.
Shalom. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. So We have a personality, a distinguished personality from Ghana who would like to say something to us. Can I have Mr. Ribili Asante? Mr. Ribili Asante, please say a few words to us. Mr. Ribili Asante, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I think what is happening this afternoon is quite interesting. We've had very brilliant presentations by different speakers, and especially by the young ones. In particular, I want to mention Jessica's presentation, which was quite enlightening for some of us. But Madam Chairperson, let me say that slavery in all forms, discrimination on the basis of sex, on the basis of tribe, on the basis of race, and exploitation that comes in many forms, provide the foundation of Western economic prosperity. And I believe that this is what leads to injustice and deprivation, and in turn leading to poverty in most of the countries. I believe that the earth has enough resources for it to go around, but a few people have seemed to have taken more than their fair share through injustice and unfair practices. And this needs to be addressed. And I think the Black Lives Movement needs to look at this aspect of the situation. Otherwise, they may come about with slogans and issues, raise issues, but the fundamental thing that is underlying all that we are seeing is what I have just described. That means slavery, discrimination, and exploitation of every type that we see in the world. And this is what we have to address. I believe the presentation by Enrique and the others of Latin American experience, or Colombian experience, and the Brazilian experience confirm all these things, that the basis for all these exploitations, the basis for all this discrimination is economic, in the sense that people are taking advantage, cornering the resources of their countries, of the world, in such a way that only a few people are benefiting from it, and the rest are left to their own schemes and devices. And I think this is what the Black Lives Movement needs to find a way to address it, to enable us to have a better world for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much for that summation. I hope I'm not muted. Thank you very much, sir, for that summation. Indeed, we have to express, we have to find a way to include, the rest of humanity, the rest of the world in the ideas proffered by Black Lives Matter movement, okay? And Nelson Mandela remains a shining example on how we should handle our issues and our problems. I don't know if Mr. John Dixon is here. I would like Mr. John Dixon to say a few words. I think he was going to speak about white supremacy, if he's here. But then again, Mr. Kambon. Mr. Kambon, can you make a comment on the submission of Guru Dileep? Mr. Kambon, do I still have Mr. Kambon? Mr. Kambon, Mr. Guru Dileep was speaking about the
anyone is in captivity, shoes too small, tough at his feet, his body of yours, but his mind is still free. Are you so blind that you cannot see?